This is my Speedglas welding helmet. It's a model 9100XX. I would show you how I go about cleaning it and talk about the Speedglas brand of helmets that I've been using for almost 20 years. Trying to take that outer faceplate off while recording, and having the headgear in there was also probably a mistake, but I'm kind of fumbling through it to get that outer faceplate off. And you can buy replacement parts for these all over the place. Amazon is where I usually grab my replacement parts. And this is the one to buy in high quantity. It gets beat up really quickly. This inner lens is kind of the heart of this machine. It's the most expensive piece. It's also probably the only piece I haven't replaced. Maybe also the headgear, but you can replace this if you really need to. It's just going to be super expensive. And those inner lenses are also a replacement part. Every part on this helmet is replaceable. Now I'm finally starting to take that headgear out. Should have done that from the beginning. It would have made removing that outer faceplate and the auto darkening display a lot easier. That cowling just kind of snaps on around the knobs and on the inside of the headgear, and then there's a little clip on the front. I don't think I really show removing that, but pretty simple to take on and off. You can get that cowling material in fabric or leather. Most of the time I use fabric because I don't do anything heavy duty enough to require leather. The headgear is extremely comfortable. It's got a ton of adjustment in it, front to back, the speed at which the helmet closes, and the position where it closes, and the position of the lens from your eyes is also adjustable. These little headbands you can buy and replace them. I'll typically just throw some soap on them and rinse them out and use them many times before I actually replace them. This headgear happens to be one of the few welding helmet headgear that fits my head. I have a really large head on me. It's almost an 8-inch, like cowboy hat size. So it's hard to find helmets that fit my head really well. When I clean these parts, I just throw them in the sink, and I grab any kind of standard, like all-purpose cleaner or even soap. And I've just put all-purpose cleaner like in a spray bottle here, and spray the whole helmet down and give it a good scrub. It gets all the grime and sweat and nastiness off the helmet, and makes it a little more enjoyable to wear on a day-to-day basis. I saw this helmet, or at least this model helmet, for the first time at FabTech, I think, and people were taking throws with the helmet at a piece of plywood set back about 20 feet. What these guys were doing is, if you got the helmet through the hole, you were put into a drawing to win it later that day, and most people were throwing them overhand and really tossing them. You'd see a helmet hit the piece of plywood, and parts and things would go flying, and the guys would gather up all the pieces and snap them back together. And I don't think I saw anything actually broken. It just kind of would come apart, and they would put it back together and turn it on and show everybody that it was still working. And that was kind of like one of my first realizations that we might have a good product. And this particular helmet that I'm using here is taking falls from an easy 10 feet from like a man lift or something, and it would hit the ground and parts would go flying, and we'd come down and I'd put it all back together. And I used to worry about it, and then all of a sudden I just realized that no matter how kind of a hard of a fall it took, it just never really hurt it. I had to replace the shell once just because I was traveling on a plane, and this lady just crammed her carry-on luggage against my helmet and just distorted the shell so bad that I could never get it back into its original shape. It didn't actually hurt the shell, just bent it, just deformed it, so I had to buy a new shell and replace it. But other than that, this helmet just lasts forever. To speed things up, I just blow things off with an air wand, just speed up the drying process, and I start throwing everything back together and just replacing any of the worn out parts. I think I just keep one of those like silver face plates around, and the only reason they ever die is just because you're the idiot and you set it down on something hot and it just kind of melts the plate or something. And the other components just wear out from use. That front like screen that protects that out darkening lens is just gets battered by spatter and everything else. And those little bands that I'm drying off right now, they just kind of get to the point where they're so grimy and stuff. Soap and water just doesn't do the trick. So kind of got to throw it away and put a new one on. Everything else in this helmet just seems to just last forever. Even the knobs and the detents, I thought they would wear out just from all the ratcheting and clicking and tightening them up all the time and the up and down of the face shield, but it just seems to just go and go and go. One thing I really like about these helmets is that you can kind of see it in these pictures is it's got like peripheral windows on it, and took a little while to get used to it, but once you get used to it, it's a very nice feature. You can really see what's going on around you, even with your helmet down. And they do come with blinders, so if you want to totally black out the side windows, you can, and just have a more traditional helmet feel. The lens, like I said, this lens right here is the only thing that I believe I've never replaced. It could also be the headgear. I might have not replaced the headgear as well, but I'm pretty sure everything else has been replaced. And this lens, again, it's suffered all those falls and plane trips and everything else, and seems to do really well. I cannot believe how well that front clear lens protects this from some of the worst processes in smoke. And the buttons on the inside have just been pressed a billion times, and they're still in excellent condition. Like the responsiveness and everything of these buttons is excellent. And as you can see, with just a little bit of soap and water, like those buttons just clean up excellent. So I mean, this display is just unbelievably well made. This helmet has two functions: just cut and weld. In cut mode, it's 5 shade and 8 shade, and then in the weld mode, it's 9 through 13. It's when I was traveling and welding, I wasn't really like fabricating, so I wasn't grinding all the time. And so one thing I kind of miss or wish I had on this helmet was a grinding setting, so that you had like a truly clear lens. And they've come out with a new model just this year, actually, that has a grind function and actually like a flip up auto darkening, so you just have a clear lens right in front of your face, and then you can see exactly what's going on. This is just a little too dark to grind in a lot of times, especially if you're inside and it's not well lit. And typically, even on the like lowest sensitivity, the grinding sparks will set off the display, making it really hard to see what you're doing. But this helmet, again, just for general fabricating, is amazing. And if you're spending a lot of time behind the arc, then it is certainly one of the best helmets you can buy. Another thing I like about this helmet is the helmet's designed to kind of like, when you breathe out, to push your breath away from the lens. So it kind of shoves that air that you're breathing in and out outside of the helmet, so it doesn't fog up your lens. And that lens has just been absolutely put through the ringer. I mean, we'll be welding in Houston or something, it'll be 110 plus degrees, and humid as all get out, and you'll be sweating inside of that helmet, and the sweat's just pouring onto that lens, and you're bent over welding on something, and just a pool is looking back at you, and every now and then you have to stop and just dump the water off the lens and out of the helmet. And for the life of me, I just can't understand how that thing survives the abuse that it's been through. Like I say, I used to kind of worry about how I treat it, and then I just kind of stopped worrying about it because I knew it wasn't going to get hurt. I know a lot of people kind of look at this helmet and see its size and think that it probably weighs a ton, but actually it's unbelievably light too. It kind of seems deceivingly light. I just got a new Lincoln Weld helmet, actually, and I can't believe how much heavier that helmet is than this thing. But I'm still going to drag this out for 90% of the stuff that I do, and I think I'll try and save the other helmet for some clean like TIG work and stuff like that. But as we come to an end of this video, I just wanted to tell you guys that the links for this helmet and all the consumables that I use for it are in the video description below. And if you would give us a like and subscribe to our channel, it would be much appreciated. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.